The history of PunchOut. PunchOut was first seen in the arcades in 1983 in Japan and in 1984 in North America and Europe. Genyo Takeda from Nintendo's R&D 1 was the lead developer on the game. Shigeru Miyamoto designed the game's characters, and the great Koji Kondo was the game's composer. Due to Nintendo ordering too many video monitors for the hit arcade game Donkey Kong, they set out to use the overstocked monitors for a new arcade game. PunchOut was designed to use two screens just to use the excess amount of monitors on hand. The top screen shows your opponent, the round you are in, and the score and the time, while the bottom screen shows the actual gameplay. Each opponent had different movesets that could be memorized. The player could then use a different strategy to defeat each opponent. The game was a huge hit in the arcades, so later in 1984 Nintendo released the game and watch version of PunchOut. Then a year following, Nintendo released an arcade sequel called Super PunchOut. Like the original, Super PunchOut was led by Genyo Takeda. It shared the same arcade cabinet design as the original, again using the dual screen concept. Also, like the original, the player controls a wireframe character so the player can see the whole body of their opponent. Most of the gameplay was the same with a few minor tweaks. Super PunchOut brought us a lot of the series' recurring characters like Vodka Drakinski. Super PunchOut was also ported over to several home PCs with the name change Frank Bruno's Boxing, where the player controls the famous boxer Frank Bruno instead of the nameless protagonist of the originals, later known as Little Mac. In 1985, Nintendo released their last arcade title before turning all heads towards their new home console, the Famicom in Japan, and the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES, in North America. The last arcade title independently released by Nintendo was actually a spin-off of PunchOut called Arm Wrestling. The game had the same look as PunchOut, with very similar gameplay, but was only released in North America. After the success of the original two PunchOut games in the arcade, Nintendo wanted to bring the game to their new hit home consoles in Japan and North America. Nintendo's R&D 3 team developed the new PunchOut game. The designer of the arcade versions, Genyo Takeda, was the game's director. Since the Famicom was not as powerful as the arcade, Takeda and his team knew it would be impossible for the home console port to be an exact emulation of the original arcade version of the game. The graphics were dumbed down for the Famicom but still looked great. Instead of making the playable boxer wireframed or transparent to see an opponent, they decided to shorten the playable boxer so that players could easily see opponents. Also, to deal with hardware limitations, R&D 3 also reused player assets for Little Mac's opponents, so a lot of the characters have similar or recolored body parts. Nintendo wanted the home console version to be a bigger overall experience. Now the player could use his or her own strategies to deliver an instant knockout. There was also now more of a story to PunchOut with a password system, background music, and animated cutscenes showing Little Mac training with Doc Lewis. PunchOut was released in Japan for the Famicom as a prize gold cartridge for a golf tournament in September of 1987. The final opponent in the game was Super Macho Man, the same as the Super PunchOut arcade version. PunchOut was set to come to North America and the NES, and probably would have had the same fight with Super Macho Man, but Minoru Arakawa attended a boxing match, and when he saw the young winner of the fight's power and skill, he was amazed. That boxer was none other than Iron Mike Tyson. Arakawa was so amazed of the young fighter, he wanted to use the athlete's name and likeness in the upcoming PunchOut game to help sell the title. After the deal was done with Tyson for him to be in the North American release of PunchOut in October of 1987, Mike Tyson knocked out the current champion Trevor Berbick in the second round to become the new World Heavyweight Champion on November 22nd, 1986. It couldn't have worked out better for Nintendo. Now they had the boxing champion on the cover, and Super Macho Man was changed to Mike Tyson in the final fight. Mike Tyson's PunchOut was released in October of 1987 in North America. It did so well in North America, it got a full Japanese release in November of 1987. PunchOut was well received by critics and is thought of as one of the best Famicom or NES games of all time. Players of the game might also notice the surprise appearance of Mario as the referee. Mario was added by the game's artist Makoto Wada, who has since stated that he did this without the permission of Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto. When this was revealed by Wada, we also learned of a trick that went undiscovered for 22 years. If the player throws a punch at Bald Bull when a light flashes at the bottom right hand of the screen, Little Mac delivers a knockout punch to the body. The game sold well, but in 1990 Nintendo chose not to renew their deal with recently defeated Mike Tyson. A final version of the game was re-released in 1990 called PunchOut, replacing Tyson with an original character, Mr. Dream. There have been a few more entries to the PunchOut series with games for the Super Nintendo and the Wii. Little Mac has also been seen in other Nintendo games, such as most recently Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. Mike Tyson famously waited 26 years to play PunchOut. Now the game is on the Wii and 3DS Virtual Console, so everyone has a chance to play one of the best boxing games ever created, PunchOut. What's going on, guys? This is Zach at the end of this video, and once again I just want to thank all of you guys over at the patreon.com/NintendoDads. You guys make this happen, and it has been a blast playing PunchOut this month with everybody. I personally love this game, and it's been awesome. So thank you to all of our patrons. Of course, that includes Holden Moffat, Brian Welch, Ben McClung, Sheldon Benedict, Adam Kroger, Phoenix Moore, Nick Price, Marty Estes, Steve Vicente. This feels like Romper Room when I'm like feeling also dyslexic. I don't know. Steve Vicente, John Krulik, Colin Harris, Eli, Justin, Brian, Jim, Chris, Zelda. Whoa, Zelda, really? That's cool. Jacob, Eric, Jad, Nick, Joel, John, the Toys for Games cast, Eric, and of course Jesse as well. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. We're going to be playing Donkey Kong Country next month, so start playing that business. That's a good time. And until next time, a huge thanks as well to Cas Lush for doing these. Go and check out his channel, Gaming Docs over there, and of course NintendoNuggets.com. So check those guys out. They're awesome too. So right on. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Gaming Dogs. Gaming Dogs.
Thank you, went to Gaming Dogs.